The Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, called PCNGI, offers free conversion of commercial vehicles to CNG and discounts for ride-sharing services. This follows the commissioning of the CNG stations by NNPCL and NIPCO, aiming to reduce transportation costs after fuel subsidies were removed, causing prices to rise significantly. Now, from the ancient city of Ibadan, Oyo State, and Southwest Nigeria, Tunde Onokoya, CEO, Auto Clinic CNG Solutions, joins me to unpack this. It's nice to have you around, Mr. Onokoya, on the show.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Now, during your last appearance on Business Edge, you talked about the need for subsidized conversions. Here we are now talking about this. It must feel good to see this report, isn't it?
Yes, it's a welcome development to allow things to become easy for business owners and vehicle owners to be able to get that subsidized transitioning into the CNG usage of their vehicles. We know that it can be capital intensive to actually get into that space. But I know that right now, with this initiative, it should make it easier generally for people to be able to move into that. However, it's important to note that the area that we have always clamored for is where this is coming into, that is the public transport sector. The low-hanging fruit is that once we are able to get public vehicles or public transportation vehicles to run on CNG, it definitely will bring down the cost of transportation. And that is what this is supposed to be about. So yes, it's a welcome development.
When you said that it is capital intensive, and of course we know what the economic situation is, so how feasible is that implementation when we're talking about a conversion of commercial petrol and diesel-powered vehicles into CNG?
Okay, we currently have about 13 million commercial vehicles in Nigeria, in all categories. It is important for us to know that the federal government cannot do this alone. I mean, it is going to be almost prohibitive to look at the costs of converting 13 million commercial vehicles to government to CNG by government for free. It's almost impractical to be able to do that, because if we are trying to save money from the continuous subsidy of petrol, we can't do this again, getting a lot of money and putting in that space. At the moment, from information we have from the PCNGI, they are bringing in about 20 to 22,000 kits at the moment. And that 20 to 22,000, at least what they are going to achieve with that is get commercial transport vehicles to get on train here. So they will do that on a state-by-state basis so that the commercial transporters themselves will begin to taste the difference. And then they'll begin to help them to maybe access funding by various financial institutions to be able to help them do the conversion, and then they can pay for it over time as well. But I know that what the federal government is trying to do now is to lead the charge that, okay, fine, you will subsidize this. When you guys notice the difference, then you can begin to go there by yourself. I know that they are currently working with the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, the National Union of Road Transport Workers, and the National Association of Road Transport Operators. They are working with them, and it might be maybe 100 per state to start with. Maybe then moves on to maybe 1,000 vehicles per state. But the current workings is with the Road Transport Employers Association and all these associations. And the free conversion is for these transport companies. Is not for personal vehicles. And for ride sharing, they want to subsidize that by 50% for ride sharing companies that do ride share. So that's it.
So I'm actually glad that you mentioned the public commercial transportation sector. Now I'm just worried about how conversion worthy the vehicles of these particular set of people are, because of course when you look at it, some of them actually out of, in terms of the quality and how they run, some of them are not really as optimal. Now, is there going to be maybe a change of vehicle? Are they going to be provided with new ones if those cars or those vehicles are not conversion worthy? Or how would the phasing be when it comes to converting those cars from petrol, diesel to CNG?
Okay, I think one of the benchmarks that has been put in place that it must be vehicles from 1996 and above. So they are not looking at the ones older than that. So vehicles that are from 1996 and above. But let me also say to you that I run my vehicles on CNG currently, and I've been to CNG stations, especially in Lagos, the one that is on the Ibafo end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And I've seen a lot of commercial buses, those ones that are called the yellow buses in Lagos. I've seen a lot of them that are running on CNG and come to that station to come and buy, meaning how feasible it is, how practical it is, very, very practical. Now, it's important to know that there are two main types of CNG conversion kits. There's the one that's known as the traditional kit and the one that is known as the sequential injection kit. The traditional kit will work on most old vehicles, tricycles, vehicles that used to run on carburetors and all of that. The traditional kit will run on them. But the sequential kit will run on vehicles that use the sequential fuel injection system. So there's a kit available for that backward integration if there's a need to do older vehicles. So yes, it's very feasible.
Okay, so what are the potential funding sources for this initiative, and how sustainable is going to be in the long term? Most especially for investors, I want to believe that we would be keen into this. What are the benefits? What are the gains?
Well, according to the PCNGI, they are looking for investors all over the world right now for a number of things. They want people to be able to build in the value chain from mother stations to daughter stations, dispensing CNG. They also are looking for people who want to establish plants in Nigeria to manufacture this CNG conversion or installation kit, as it were, the tanks to be fabricated locally and all of that. So all of this is feasible, but what this PCNGI is saying is this: we have some funding available. Of course, we cannot fund your entire project, but we can help you with counterpart funding, and then you can then have some. They have some agencies that are available right now, foreign companies that finance institutions that are ready to partner with PCNGI for people that want to invest in this space right now. Minimal interest on it, from what I've learned. Minimal interest and access to that fund. PCNGI is facilitating it. Let it be known that it's not as if PCNGI is saying they want to give people money to go and build this. They're saying we can help you facilitate you getting a loan at a reasonable cost to be able to do this. So that's what PCNGI is trying to do at the moment, getting people to come into the entire value chain, from manufacturing to conversion, to the mother stations, to the daughter station, refilling facilities, kit manufacturing, everything is what PCNGI is trying to do.
Okay. Now, under the presidential CNG initiative, NNPCL and NIPCO, as I said earlier, entered into a strategic partnership to establish 35 CNG stations nationwide. But then a few people feel that this is a far cry from what a shift should look like. So what additional measures or probably policies should the government implement to actually support the successful rollout of the PCNG initiative?
Okay, thank you very much for that. I know that there are also a lot of people that are trying to come into the space right now, from conversion to stations and all of that. Again, the government cannot do it alone. Not even sure that one company can do it alone, because it's an expensive thing to do. There has to be a network of pipelines built all over the nation to carry CNG and to carry natural gas around. There has to be stations built, mother stations, where daughter stations can take CNG from using skids. So, and we also have to get these skids imported into the country for transportation to take into the daughter station. So all of this needs to be done. But if there's any initiative government wants to do, I think they've started with it, putting their money where their mouth is. If they're bringing in 20,000 kits, we have 13 million commercial vehicles, and I'm not talking about private vehicles. It means that if government is able to do, even if the government decides to do 1 million of 13 million, there's opportunity in the space for 12 million vehicles to still be converted to run on CNG. That's one. Secondly, the government has put policy in place, duty-free and tax-free for vehicles that are running on CNG, meaning if you are importing a vehicle that runs on CNG into the country, it's supposed to be duty-free and tax-free for you to be able to bring it in. Also for the conversion kits that are coming in, we expect that now that's another challenge on the government side, which is these policies are pronounced, but some agencies of government are not yet implementing them. So we're talking about, if I bring in a kit now for conversion, I shouldn't pay duty on it. But is this being implemented? We have a lot of our colleagues in the industry that are still complaining that they are paying duty on these conversion kits that are coming in. It means that the government policies and pronouncements are there, but sometimes we are not seeing these things play out in real terms of. So we need these policies to get implemented. Also, the National Automotive Design and Development Council came up with a framework about a couple of months ago, talking about the conditions for accreditation and licensing of conversion centers and conversion personnel. They put a cost to it, which is at about 250,000 naira per conversion center. The government can look into this as well and say some people are pioneers in this. There are also first movers who have been doing this even before the government policy came up. What are the incentives they will get for having done this earlier than now? So there's a lot of policies that government can put in place. These are just some of them. The free conversion is great.
All right.
Subsidized conversion is great as well, especially for ride sharing. But at the end of the day, we must understand that the goal of this is to reduce the cost of transportation drastically for Nigerians to be able to enjoy the benefit of CNG usage in the country.
So even as just in about 30 seconds, even as a firm, you've actually affirmed there's a possibility of a reduction in transport fare for Nigerian commuters. I'd like you to also let us know if the safety standards will be adhered to in terms of conversion and the use of these CNG powered vehicles.
I didn't get that. Could you repeat?
Oh, okay. So I said I just need your confirmation because you said that the prices of transport fare for commuters in Nigeria will drastically reduce. That's actually the the end point or the game plan. Also, I'd like you to confirm or affirm that safety standards will be adhered to during the point of conversion and for these CNG powered vehicles that will be in circulation by the time this particular project kicks off.
Yes, definitely. A good thing is that the NADDC has spoken up. The Standard Organization of Nigeria has also spoken up. They have established standards for CNG kits and equipment. The NADDC has stepped up to say what these are going to be the conditions under which we will license you to be able to convert to CNG. And then, of course, there are also organizations. There's a Green Clean Energy Practitioners Association of Nigeria that has just been formed that wants to come into this space looking at how are we going to regulate to ensure that all peoples or all personnel that are taking part in the CNG conversion in Nigeria are actually duly trained, duly licensed, and are doing it according to the strict code of conduct that has been put in place.
All right.
That's it.
All right. Tunde Onokoya, MD CEO, Auto Clinic CNG Solutions, thank you so much for sharing this needed information with us.
It's a pleasure as always. Thank you for having me.